It's simple, I love it. Having you near me, having you here. Hot conversations, outrageous. You smile, and I smile, and I say, oh, this is getting personal, personal, personal. Let's stay for a while and play. Girl, let's make this a moment. Oh.
Hello and welcome back to Bookmark Chronicles. Today I'm doing my July wrap-up. Overall, it was a pretty decent reading month. I read a little fantasy, a little romance, so let's get started. First thing that I read was a novella from the Poppy War trilogy that was released in between the Dragon Republic and the Burning God. So it has little snippets of events that happen throughout the books, but from Najat's point of view. Honestly, it just made me want more from his point of view since we were kind of in Ren's head the entire time, and it also really made me want more from him during the Burning God since he's such a critical character in that book. But unfortunately, I read it late and the trilogy is now over. Like that and everything else in the trilogy, I did give it 5 stars, and if you are a fan of the Poppy War trilogy, I highly recommend it. The next book that I read was A Prince on Paper. This is the third and final book in the Reluctant Royal series by Alyssa Cole. In this, we follow Naya and Johan during their fake engagement. If that's a trope that you like, then you'll definitely enjoy this one. There were some tropes in it that I didn't like, which is almost to be expected at this point, but otherwise I really did enjoy the story and the romance as a whole. I rated this 4 out of 5 stars, and I am glad that I read this series. I do want to start reading her other series. I believe it's called Runaway Royals, but I probably won't do that for a little while because I have a lot of other books that I need to get to. I do have a full review of this, so I will link that in the cards and the description below if you want more of my full thoughts. The next book that I read on Kindle was Desperate Measures by Katie Robert. This is the first book in the Wicked Villain series. This is my first time reading anything by Katie Robert, but I've been hearing a lot about her, and as I'm trying to get more into romance, she's one of those really popular authors, so I figured I'd give her a try. This book is a reimagining of Aladdin, so we follow Jasmine and Jafar. I did enjoy it. I rated it 3.5 stars. There were some tropes that I didn't love, as well as some content that I didn't necessarily love, but I do have a full drunk book review of that, so I will link that in the cards in the description as well if you want to know more of my thoughts. I will be continuing the series at some point, and I believe the next book is about Hades and Meg, so I think that'll be interesting. The next book that I read was Girls of Storm and Shadow. This is the second book in the Girls of Paper and Fire trilogy. I enjoyed it, but not as much as the first one. In this one, even though I didn't have an issue with it in the first book, the romance was a little annoying to me. For the most part, I felt like the romantic parts were kind of at the wrong moment. Like there were other things going on that we need to focus on. I can't say too much about this one because it's the middle of a trilogy, but in book 1, we are following Lay, who gets roped into being a paper girl, meaning that she is one of 8 concubines for the Demon King. She was never supposed to be a paper girl, so she is basically the only one in hundreds of years who is willing to fight back, and we follow her journey. I do like it. I am looking forward to the last book. I have full reviews of both Girls of Storm and Shadow and Girls of Paper and Fire on my channel, so those will be linked as well, and I rated this 3 stars. And the last book that I read this month was We Hunt the Flame by Hafsa Faizal. This is one of those books that I read because I just really wanted to support the author, and I'm really glad that I did. Again, there are some romance elements that I didn't love, and at times the characters were a little annoying, but I am a sucker for a good plot twist, and she definitely delivered. So if you're not familiar, in this we follow Zafira, who is known as the Hunter, but nobody actually knows that the Hunter is a girl, and she gets sent on a mission to retrieve an ancient book that could restore magic to her land. The other character that we follow, Nasir, known as the Prince of Death, is an assassin who has also been sent on this mission, not only to retrieve the book, but also to stop Zafira. So we follow their journey from there. There is some romance in it and an interesting magic system. I ended up rating this 4 stars, and I've already started the next book, We Free the Stars. So that is everything that I read in the month of July. Let me know if you have read any of these or if they are on your TBR. Otherwise, that's all I have for you today, and I'll see you in the next one.